If you are intelligent and well-read, you probably already know that Denmark, Finland, and Norway are the absolute best countries on the planet in which to live, with the highest standards of living, the strongest economies, the best schools and hospitals, little to no crime, and especially the lowest levels of pollution in our modern times. Curious that modern-day Vikings would be the most civilized people on the planet. And now, Denmark has secured financing for a $34 billion energy island. But what is an energy island, and how does it work? Why would the most civilized people on the planet spend so much money on it? The science. The Danish government has pledged to cut its carbon emissions by 70% compared to 1990 levels by 2030 and wants to be carbon neutral by 2050. To accomplish this ambitious task, Denmark has come up with a practical idea to help its clean energy needs. The Danes will build an artificial island 80 kilometers off their western coast in the North Sea. It's expected to be in full operation by 2023. Denmark is currently Europe's largest oil-producing country, so a move towards 100% clean energy and the end of oil production will provide a huge boost for its green credentials. The artificial island will be roughly the size of 18 football fields. It's projected to cost around $34 billion to construct. Much of the energy generated will come from wind farms. They'll produce electricity for 3 million households in Denmark. This is truly a great moment for Denmark and for the global green transition, Energy Minister Dan Jorgensen told a press briefing. The island will make a big contribution to the realization of the enormous potential for European offshore wind, he said. Offshore wind developer Ørsted was a pioneer in both onshore and offshore wind turbines, building the world's first offshore wind farm almost 30 years ago. In December, it decided to halt the search for oil and gas in the Danish part of the North Sea. Instead, Ørsted hopes to make Denmark a hub for renewable energy and carbon storage. Global warming, a danger to all. Denmark's commendable efforts to reduce carbon emissions can't come too soon. The largest driver of warming is the emission of gases which create the greenhouse effect, of which more than 90% are carbon dioxide and methane. Fossil fuel burning, like coal, oil, and natural gas, for energy consumption is the main source for these emissions, with additional contributions from agriculture, deforestation, and manufacturing. The human cause of climate change is not disputed by any scientific body of national or international standing. Temperature rise is accelerated or tempered by climate feedbacks, such as loss of sunlight-reflecting snow and ice cover, increased water vapor, a greenhouse gas itself, and changes to land and ocean carbon sinks. The economic impact. The energy hub in the North Sea will be the largest construction project in Danish history. It'll make a big contribution to the realization of the enormous potential for European offshore wind. The project builds on an inter-party deal struck in June on energy policy, in which the political parties agreed to construct 2 wind energy hubs, one artificial and another centered on the Baltic island of Bornholm. The state will hold a controlling stake in both islands. The 2 hubs will initially support 5 gigawatts of wind generation and triple Denmark's current installed offshore wind. The capacity will later be expanded to as much as 12 gigawatts. But the agreement calls on the government to work with private sector partners to try to accelerate the process so that it can be brought online earlier. The government has committed to launching discussions with wind farm developers and other companies and investors as soon as possible, with the aim of developing a legal framework for tendering for the remaining 49% stake. The 10-gigawatt island, when this is finalized, will be producing far more clean energy than what Denmark alone can use as a country. So part of the strategy is to help other countries meet their own energy needs. The June agreement had yet to decide whether the state would take the lead role in funding the project and whether it would involve building an actual island. We were discussing whether or not we should make a platform construction. And furthermore, we needed, in order for the decision to be final, to agree on whether the state should own a majority of the island, Jorgensen explained. He called the 51% stake a perfect compromise, which would bring in private expertise and make it a very lucrative business both for the private investors and for the Danish state. He said construction of the island was expected to start in 2026, with the next 5 years spent signing up private sector partners, carrying out environmental impact assessments on the seabed, and signing deals to connect the two energy islands to Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany. The economic feasibility in the projects are dependent on us making those connections because it's far more than we can use ourselves, he said. Professor Jacob Ostergaard of the Technical University of Denmark told BBC that the UK could benefit as well as Germany or the Netherlands. Green hydrogen would also be provided for use in shipping, aviation, industry, and heavy transport under Denmark's Climate Act. Climate Minister Dan Jorgensen said the country was simply changing the map. This is gigantic, Professor Ostergaard told the BBC. It's the next big step for the Danish wind turbine industry. We were leading on land, then we took the step offshore, and now we're taking the step with energy islands. So it'll keep the Danish industry in a pioneering position. Green group Dansk Energy said that while the dream was on the way to becoming a reality, it doubted the North Sea island would be up and running by the planned 2033 start date. But Danish politicians across the spectrum have given their backing to the plan. Former Energy Minister Rasmus Helveg Petersen of the Social Liberal Party said energy islands had begun as a radical vision, but there was now a broad agreement to turn it into a reality. Arguments against the construction of the island. Oddly enough, the strongest arguments against the construction of the energy island came from the United Kingdom's House of Lords. They cited the closure of many coal-powered plants across Europe as dangerous to the economic model and responsible for the loss of jobs. In their argument, the House of Lords infamously quoted, "No country is an energy island. There are, therefore, clear benefits to be derived from working within the EU on the energy challenge. There is, however, a dilemma. It is for each member state to decide what mix of energy is the most appropriate for them. But the choices of one country affect others, including the collective need for energy security, an efficient market, and environmental improvement. And so, the European Commission should have a role in monitoring choices and their impacts."